I am Dr. Gabriela Mányi-Valek, President of the National Fashion League Hungary Association, which is the founder and also the organizer of the Global Sustainable Fashion Week. This year, we wanted to celebrate the 5th Global Sustainable Fashion Week. We made a lot of preparations. We invited excellent lecturers, designers from all over the world. They were so happy to join us and to travel to Budapest. Due to the coronavirus problems all over the world, we had to make another decision. We didn't want to postpone our event, but now we organize our digital 5th Global Sustainable Fashion Week.
Hi everyone, my name is Gabriela Siba and I am the Environmental Manager of the 5th Global Sustainable Fashion Week. We have a green plan that we wanted to carry out this year. So this event is not only sustainable in its name, but as it is organized and carried out as well. I would like to name some sectors and our goals to those sectors. Electricity. Definitely use electricity from renewable energy sources and in a building that already has this feature in it. Water consumption, reducing it by eco-friendly taps. Traveling. We wanted to do online conferences and also provide rentable bikes to those ones that are already attending the conferences, plus using electrical cars and public transport, of course. As for food, we planned vegan menu and reusable plastic glasses or cups from the water dispensing machines, not using any plastic bottles this year. And as for marketing, only using recycled papers if printing is necessary, but preferring the online media. Unfortunately, this green plan couldn't be carried out, but we still take it as a living plan for the future and we would love to develop it. And thank you for watching this short video, and I'd like to invite you to the 5th Global Sustainable Fashion Week on the 2nd and the 3rd of April. Hope to see you there. Bye!
Hello and welcome to my fabulous, wonderful studio here in the mountains of New Hampshire in the United States. My name is Dr. Leanne Teal-Rutkowski, and I am very proud to be a member of the International Advisory Board for Global Sustainable Fashion Week. A big shout out to the most wonderful Dr. Gabriela, who introduced me to Global Sustainable Fashion Week last year for the first time. I was so impressed I just had to do more, and I'm very proud to be working feverishly on accelerating the sustainable fashion movement. I wanted to introduce today, because we have a very short amount of time, the Impact Fashion Hub, which I created partially. Is it backwards? I think you're probably seeing it backwards, but that's me. It's a nonprofit 501c, which is great for funding. And the Impact Fashion Hub will be in 8 cities: New York City, Budapest, Copenhagen, Liverpool, Cape Town, Mumbai, Chittagong, and Buenos Aires. In each of these hub cities, we will have impact Fashion Hub drivers. Let me see if I can just kind of, not sure if you can actually see that. But the Impact Fashion Hub drivers are in sixfold. Each has an action project, number one, a university affiliation, number two, a media public relations plan, which will include contact point for podcasts to collect around the 8 cities stories that are going on, fabulous successes that are going on with new designers, artisans that are available, and that kind of thing. For policymakers, we're identifying the key policymakers in each of these cities, which really is the hub of each of their countries, so that we can have active legislation going on that will be the same in all 8 cities, and we can start making a movement really work and coordinate. And it will also be in conjunction with filtering the legislation, of course, through the United Nations, as the filter of all of the work that the Impact Fashion Hub is doing is through the SDG initiative. And then 5 designers. So we have policymakers, users, and suppliers. Under the users, we have designers, artisans, and so forth. Under the organic processes, we have suppliers. For example, Aura Herbalware produces incredible organic dyes in Ahmedabad in India. So in each of these hubs, we'll be identifying these 6 key areas. All of it is being done to encourage the sustainable fashion industry to restore, revitalize, and renew, and give back to the planet. For more information, impactfashionhub.org. The website will be up and running within a week or two. And any other questions, my email is lateal@gmail.com. Everybody have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for everything. And Dr. Gabby.
Hello, I'm Ildiko Chikai, Senior Scientific Consultant of Space Harmony System. The title of my presentation is Fashion and Invisible Protection by Space Harmony System. Sophia Loren said, "A woman's dress should be like a barbed wire fence, serving its purpose without obstructing the view." If our great-grandparents would have been able to see us, what would they think? They would look at us as we were magicians practicing with our present technology, wearing high-tech dresses made from graphene, for example. What should we think about our great-grandchildren in 2050? Definitely that they behave like gods. They will be able to create with their thoughts. Thanks for robot technology. As Zeus, the Greek god could. They will take part in space travel like Apollo. And probably they will be able to live much longer and protect their beauty as Venus, thanks to gene technology today. At the meantime, technological advances, interference in the natural environment, population growth, and emotional ethical detachment from nature have led to the current environmental crisis. Electrosmog is what we collectively call the harmful effects of electromagnetic fields, which are a byproduct of the ever-increasing technological advancement. Nowadays, there is almost no place on the planet where this phenomenon is not measurable. Numerous, very simple experiments showed the negative health effects of millimeter waves. extremely high-frequency electromagnetic waves, I mean. Among others, Magda Havas, Canadian scientist, presents some of them in her articles and videos. In her opinion, between 1% and 5% of the population is severely affected by electrosmog. Another 35% have mild to moderate sensitivity. She also emphasized that we are at the beginning of one of the largest experiments ever conducted on this planet, and 5G is being rolled out across the globe, and no one really knows what the consequences of this are likely to be. While 1G was about providing voice, 2G about supporting text, 3G for facilitating the connection to the internet. By 4G, we had the possibility to download video, and 5G is that special technology which targets the speed of data transmissions close to the speed of light. The Internet of the Things just has arrived, and its capacity is highly over of the cell phones and apps. 5G doesn't step into the place of 4G, but it appears above the all previously generated frequencies. That means that we'll have more exposure to microwave radiation by the operation of 5G. It will use also more bands in the low, middle and high frequency bands. It means also that the densification of small cell antennas in our environment, chiefly in cities. The cells have to be placed every 100 to 300 meters for the efficient operation. Dr. Cindy Russell went through the scientific literature of millimeter radiation and found that in Eastern Europe they used it for reducing pain. The army, the police applies it as part of the active denial system for crowd control. These are okay, this is good. But using it for the Internet of the Things, this is not good, simply because of the duration of the exposure. We can measure the time of the exposure in seconds or maximum minutes in the medical and military adaptations. In the case of telecommunication, it presents a constant exposure that makes it really dangerous. With the medical and military use, the surface of the skin and the sweat glands are reached. So there is a possibility to make serious harm at the skin surface through the permanent radiation, this constant exposure, through the straight connection to our nervous system, hormone system, and for the immune system. By the research of Magda Havas, some frequencies can cause arrhythmia, irregular heartbeat, cataracts, other ocular pathologies. One of Magda Havas' experiments, which was conducted with sperms, as it can be seen by the pictures. Some of them were unexposed as a control, and some of them were exposed to 2.4 gigahertz, the same frequency what we use in Wi-Fi. And the photos show the status of based on 1 and 5 hours of exposure. The sperm moved well in all of the slides except the one, right down. They don't move, they are damaged. Those sperm cells were exposed to Wi-Fi radiation for 5 hours. Most of us work on our computer, phone, tablet, connected to Wi-Fi, to the internet, for much longer in one time than 5 hours. By another experiment, Magda Havas shows by a drop of her blood with the effect of microwave radiation in a case of electrohypersensitivity. The first picture represents the condition before of the Wi-Fi exposure. The cells are round and free but loosely in groups. After 10 minutes Wi-Fi radiation, every cell is sticking together. That kind of blood is not able to deliver the oxygen impressively and to provide nutrients to the cells and to get rid of waste products produced by the cells. This is the so-called rouleau formation. By the opinion of Stephen Sinatra, famous cardiologist, according to this condition, he mentions the following symptoms that can improve: headaches, fatigue, dizziness, difficulty concentrating, numbness, tingling and cold extremities, heart and blood pressure problems, and in severe cases, heart attack or stroke. According to Laszlo Mérő, the Hungarian mathematician and psychologist, the best practices and skills can be explained, not luck. Apple, Facebook, Microsoft have also been a great success because they were in the right place at the right time. Someone just met with someone and there was a problem and these companies just were able to solve it. And no one can teach this anyone, neither Steve Jobs nor Elon Musk. We are very, very lucky. Now we have a solution to one of the biggest problems, harmful radiation, through the invention of space harmony system, which is acknowledged with the quality certificate of the famous independent Finnish Verkotan laboratory. According to the result of the measurements, our phone and tablet covers filter high level of the harmful radiation without reducing the efficiency of the appliances. With the help of long years of research and the advice of experts in the field, we have created a defense system. This is protective unit filters harmful electromagnetic, low and high frequency radiation, radon radiation, and negative Earth radiation as well, thus substantially decreasing the health risks of these effects. With our products and solutions, smart, cars, relax, home, office, field, forest, and fashion, we can create a harmonized living space. Space Harmony Smart System provides protection against electromagnetic radiation and the concentrated background radiation brought about by multimedia and smart devices, which we use every day, smartphones, tablets, computer, etc. The device is small and easy to place, so anyone from coworkers to loved ones and ourselves can stick it onto our devices, setting up our personal protection. With the Space Harmony Relax system, we are able to protect our functional spaces such as living rooms, bedrooms, and other places where we spend most of our time. And the harmonized environment helps us relax better. We have created Space Harmony Car System as well, which provides a protective field in small enclosed spaces too. The body of our cars acts as a Faraday cage, which traps electromagnetic radiation and radio waves inside its enclosed space. With the protection of our Space Harmony home system, we and our pets can spend refreshing time within a calm and safe environment where we have created a radiationally harmonized living space. Because of our workplace is our second home, and we spend more time at our desk than other communal spaces, so protecting this segment of the environment is especially vital in preventing disease. The Space Harmony office system offers a solution for each individual and, if needed, a complex protection for the whole office complexes. Our invention is suitable for wider spaces too, as fields and forests.
Touch me, tease me, kiss me, and lick me. I know you in a rush, baby, can I get a quickie? When you suck it up, you gon' leave me with a hickey. Ooh, you so legendary. Ooh, you so legendary.
I started my presentation with a quotation of Sophia Loren, and let me finish my message to you with another thought of her. Nothing makes a woman more beautiful than the belief that she is beautiful. If you wear clothes with space harmony system, invisible protection, you can believe in that you are beautiful. And in the meantime, you have to be sure that you are protected against harmful radiations. Thank you for your attention.
Be the change, be the transformation, because we live in a quantum universe where everything is intimately connected with everything else. Whatever you become, helps me become. So let's become something better.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted a greater understanding of the cosmos, where we fit in, and why we're in such a trying time, then do we have the Reconnecting to the Source show for you. Today I'll be talking with Ervin Laszlo, twice nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize Award, the recipient of the Goy Peace Prize, the Luxembourg World Peace Prize, and many, many more. The founder of systems philosophy and general evolution theory, and the author of many brilliant books, including his latest, Reconnecting to the Source. And that's just what I want to talk with him about today, about chaos, supercoherence, and what in the world's going on in the world today. So welcome to the show, Ervin. Are you ready to shine?
Michael, I'm ready. I'll do my best to shine.
Woohoo! And you are shining bright. So, forgive me for asking, but where geographically are you in the world today, and what in the world do you see going on?
I'm in Tuscany, in Italy, the middle part of Italy, near the Mediterranean Sea, on a hilltop. What I see in the world is what everybody else sees, and nobody really knows what goes on, but we try to make sense of it. If we can. Anyway, we try to work our way through to a better and more stable and healthier world. So we can talk about all that if you like.
I'd like to. In fact, there's a term that you mentioned called chaos point, and I'm wondering if that's kind of where we're at in the world. What exactly is that?
Well, there can be multiple chaos points. I mean, these are processes of what is known in system sciences as a bifurcation, as a change in the evolutionary trajectory of a system. Systems evolve along certain trajectories, and all of a sudden that trajectory, that way where they go and how they go changes. And that is after the system itself has been disturbed, has moving on to a point where it is no longer able to sustain its trajectory, sustain itself. And then it becomes very sensitive to change. Even the smallest little impetus can change the system. It's cyberneticians call that the initial kick. You just give it a little kick and all of a sudden it can blow up and can change the system because the system is no longer stable. So that's where we are today. We are destabilized the system of life on Earth in many, many ways, economically, socially, ecologically, and now also in regard to human health.
If we look at the system of a whole, first off, is there coherence? Is there is there order to the system? And even though we're in chaos, I'm going to put that in quotes, it is to get us to a higher state of order.
Evolution is moving toward higher states of order or toward this disturbance and finally ultimate chaos. I mean, there's always goes up or down.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the way it is. So I think we are inherently bottom down on the deepest level. We are coherent. We wouldn't be here otherwise. Every cell in our body has to be coherent with every other cell to maintain us alive in this biological, physical world as well. So there is coherence. There is a drive toward higher and higher levels of coherence. But there is also a lot of noise in the system, a lot of disturbance, because we are not operating this system, not taking care of it as well as we should. We can talk about why, but it just seems to me that the main point is that we are looking at the system as though it wouldn't even exist. What exists is I, we, just our ego, just our own interests, and we disregard rest, and therefore we are creating destabilization, we are creating chaos in the rest. By pursuing our own interests, we are not advantaging the whole system, and therefore ultimately we are endangering ourselves too. So that's where we are.
Thank you. If we go back in human history, at one point we were in greater coherence with the system. We were operating within what I'll call natural laws. And then somewhere along the way, it seems like almost a small subset of humanity started a consolidation process, or viewing, you call it the earth as a toy store. I'll view it as a giant mining operation to extract all the resources for the few.
That's exactly, I think you're right. Yes, we have mistaken the way to go. We have mistaken what we are, who we are, and how we relate to the world. We thought that through technology, through power, we gain the ability to do what we want. And we serving our short-term interests, we get short-term satisfactions, advantages perhaps, but we are creating such a lot of what is known as collateral damage by the military. And such a lot of secondary noise that is finally could overwhelm us. So yes, you're right. We had in the past, we were living in the Middle Ages, in classical times. And in the East, for example, civilizations like the Indian, like the Hindu and the Chinese civilization have been around for 5,000 years. Of course, now they are under the sway of modern technological civilization, but they could maintain themselves because they were in harmony. They were coherent among the members. They were coherent with their environment. Of course, all nature is basically coherent. If it's here, if it's living, if it becomes extinct, of course, it's because it wasn't coherent. That's natural selection. But as long as a system exists, a natural living system exists, it is coherent. All its members serve a single, coherent, harmonious goal as to maintain the total organism and then the total species among the living things in this world.
You just triggered a thought. You talked about a single harmonious goal and survival of an organism. Can we look beyond humanity and look at a greater organism and as humanity as just one maybe individual cell as part of that whole?
Well, if we look at if we look at the world with the eyes of science, sure, then we must see that we are not the top of evolution. We are not the only thing in this world, in space and time. We are embedded. We are embedded in systems within systems within systems. We are embedded in a multiple level system, which the quantum sciences now talk about the whole universe being a macro level quantum system, where all things are connected and all things work together. For better or for worse, but they work together, they affect each other. So of course, that is the reality. We are part of a tremendous integrated and integral sphere, the biosphere on this planet, which is an evolving overall system of which given elements can sometimes disregard this overall evolution and go on their own way. And then something happens which is equivalent in the human individual organism. It's equivalent to cancer, because then they just do their own thing and they disregard the rest of the organism. They're no longer in harmony, in tune with the rest of the organism. They just grow and develop on their own. That is something like what we are doing on this earth, becoming a kind of a cancer. But we also have consciousness, so we are not going blindly that way. We can recognize our way and we can rectify our way. So that is the hope. That is what I am talking about in this new book on reconnecting to the source. That's the way out. We have to know what the source is, this larger super system of which we are a part. And we have to connect with it, reconnect, because we have lost that connection.
Thank you. Tell me more about the source, and I'm interested in comments that Einstein once made, that Max Planck once made, about the divine intelligence of everything, or the divine intelligence behind the hologram we're living in.
What comes to the fore in modern science is that this universe is complex, is very finely tuned. All its elements are tuned to all other elements. Until you disturb it, until it comes a species that arbitrarily disturbs it, the system is coherent. Now, this coherence creates such a complex system, such an incredibly finely tuned, finely adjusted system, where all things respond to all other things. You see, all the laws of physics, the classical physics, are toward disintegration, are toward what is known as entropy.
Yes.
It's moving down to the heat test of the universe. That are just the classical beliefs. But we see now that there is in the universe, there is something like an élan vital, that Bergson, the French philosopher, called it that. But we can call it the divine principle or law or the higher intelligence. Something that moves this system so it creates integrated, self-maintaining overall whole systems. That's a remarkable thing. That in a way it comes back to religion, with the big difference that at least in Western religions, they talk about the source as being outside of nature, is being above it in some sense. In science, what talks about this source, this higher intelligence as penetrating and informing nature in all its elements, informing every cell in our body and our whole body and our whole existence.
If this divine intelligence is informing everything, everyone, and every cell in our being, how do we get back? It seems like with modern news, what I call negative worthless stimulation, like the news, we have become disinformed and disempowered as to what our role truly is and who we truly are.
Well, fortunately, we are beginning to realize that the information that makes the universe what it is, this higher intelligence, is an impetus, is a drive, is what in science we might call an attractor, something that moves systems in a given direction. And that drive, that attractor, is also in us, or if you prefer to say, it also affects and influences us. We perceive it, we feel it, we live it. When we feel aligned with the world around us, and when we align ourselves with everybody and everything around, with nature and other people, then we feel ourselves fulfilled, and we feel that we are truly living, we are contented. And then we feel empathy, we feel compassion, we feel love. But that is now becoming a more and more rare feeling. That means we have to come back to that. But it is there. In the depths of our subconscious, we feel that oneness, which forms and informs the universe. That term comes from quantum science. It's not just imagination. The universe could not be moving, could not have developed or evolved to where it is today unless it was informed by something that operates in the depths of the universe.
Is there a feedback loop as well, so that we have informed the system to create this apparent chaos point to actually help us to get back into coherence?
Well, to help us, I don't know. It's an opportunity to get back.
Thank you.
What we know is that there is no real evolution or progress of any kind unless the status quo, what we are at any one time, is perturbed, is disrupted. Then there is a possibility to move forward, to change. We have to be the change we want to see in the world, but we won't change unless and until there are complacency or belief that everything is okay just the way it is, unless and until we are willing to change. So I think, yes, there is definitely in this bifurcation process that I'm talking about, there is a teleological, it's a purposive and purpose-directed element. There is something that is moving us. Now, if we manage to survive this crisis, which I believe we will, but it's not said and done yet, then I think we will be moving on to the next level of coherence, a more coherent, more sane, more healthy society on this planet.
Is that what you're calling super coherence?
Super coherence is a complete coherence, internal and external. I call it extrinsic and intrinsic. Yeah. Intrinsic coherence is what makes you healthy. If we didn't have intrinsic coherence, our body couldn't survive, couldn't operate. We need to be coherent. Every part of our body has to be coherent with every other part, respond to it instantly. External coherence or extrinsic coherence is being coherent with our environment, with each other as humanity, as society, as culture, with nature, with the biosphere, ultimately, I think, with the universe. So when we are coherent inside and outside, inner directed, outer directed, and all levels, then we have a perfect coherence. And that's what I call super coherence.
Thank you. It seems like when you wrote this book, you had some idea of where humanity was heading, to say the least. And the timing of this book is fascinating, with its release just coming out now. And it seems like you were moving very slowly, very calmly, but you had a message to get out for which you were in a horse race, trying to get this message out as humanity is kind of driving the Ferrari right toward the cliff. What was that message, and what's the most important thing that you need to share right now?
I have felt something like a drive, some urging that I need to get this message out. So I have been working day and night and have my collaborators pulled together, and we're working together. And we have over about 24 people involved in just writing in this one book. And I'm already working on the next book, which is to be published at the end of the year. So I feel that I've got to get this message together and message to get it out. And then what happens to it is no longer up to me. Then it's up to whoever gets it into his or her hand, to his or her attention, and to do what you want to do with it. I think the openness now is far greater than it was 6 months ago, a year or two ago. Obviously very much greater, because now we know that there's some need for change. We have to really look around. We can't just close our eyes. We can't just say everything is okay, everything is unchangeable. The positive message is that this world is changeable, and it is changing already. There are many positive elements of changing. Holotropic change, which I call in this book, in other words, a tropism, a kind of an impetus or an attraction toward wholeness, toward integration, which is also an impetus toward coherence. I think those things are going on at the same time. We just have to see that we join the right thing. We join not the disruption, the disintegration, but the integration, the oneness that is already developing around us.
Thank you. Thank you. One of the guests that you have writing in here is Lynn McTaggart. We've had her on the show several times talking about the power of 8, and we've been organizing for our own YouTube channel groups of hundreds, and we've had up to thousands now meditating at the same time on the same cause. Scientifically, what's going on with that, and why does it matter?
Obviously, it matters, because if we use the right intention, the right meditation, then we become a force for stability, for coherence, for evolution in the world. What goes on seems to be a very great metaphysical recognition from ancient times, coming back now to the new scientific level. Namely, that consciousness is such a primary element in the world. It's not something that is just a byproduct of the workings of our brain. Consciousness, mind, intellect, is something that is in the universe, and that is a major force in the universe. So this recognition is what impels us to enter into conscious relationship, or enter deep down into our own being, into our own consciousness, meditate, become attentive, become attuned to higher levels of coherence in nature, in art, in wherever it is around us. I think if we do that, I think that is the key to coming back to the natural orders, to the divine or metaphysical or cosmic order, which is there in the world, without which this world could not exist. So now we have disturbed it, but we are creating the opportunity at the same time to move forward, to leave behind the mistaken past that we have taken and take a better path where we are coherent with each other, with the world, and we can evolve together.
Thank you. I'm wondering what the misconceptions are that are hurting us so much. And I remember being in New York City a few years ago, and a raptor landed in a tree. And I went, oh, wow. And a guy was walking by. He had his coffee, his briefcase, his suit. And he's like, what? And I pointed to the raptor. And he goes, nature. I don't do nature.
Well, nature, we are trying to capture nature even in Central Park sometimes. It's better than nothing, but it's a highly circumscribed nature in a way. We are living in a very, very synthetic, artificial world. And we have to try to find our way, that the beauty, the meaning, the transcendence that's even in that world that we have created, the artificial world. Otherwise, we just simply say goodbye to all the natural orders and we go out on a way that could be highly dangerous, not unstable, and who knows whether it can be actually salvaged. But it is in us. We can recognize the way. I know I sound a little bit like somebody religious, like a prophet, but
it's interesting. Let me pause you for a brief second. At the end of the day, at the top of the pyramid, there is no difference, is there?
No, I mean, ultimately, when we try to find truth, find reality, we find it in beauty, we find it in significance. And then whether we find it through Plato and Aristotle, or through the Buddha, or the Tao, or Jesus Christ, there's all different ways to get to love, to get to understanding, to get to working, to being part of each other. So there is no difference. The way leads toward coherence, and as you said it yourself a moment ago in your question, it's toward super coherence. That's the idea. That's the objective. That's what we have to recover. To that is what we have to reconnect.
So would you say that's our cosmic purpose, and sorry, I'm asking you so much at once, but you're doing an amazing job with it. Is this cosmic purpose, are we sewn together through a fabric or an energy or a mathematical blueprint of love?
If you like to put it that way, I would go along with it, yes. I think love is built into this universe. What holds the proton and the neutron together in the nucleus of the atom is this higher intelligence that Max Planck said it must exist. That Einstein said, yes, there must be higher intelligence behind the laws of nature. And that higher intelligence, when we grasp it, when we feel it, that it is expressed in us as empathy, as compassion, as a feeling of oneness, and ultimately, and perhaps on its highest level, it's expressed as unconditional universal love. We are naturally oneness, coherence, and love-oriented beings. We would not be here unless we were. But we have suppressed these feelings by the search for power, for money, for advantage, and looking at the world as though it would be our creation. Well, the world is there, the world is meaningful, it is evolving, and we can be part of this evolution. It's our choice. But when we are in tune with the evolution of the world, we feel this oneness, we feel comforted, we feel having a higher purpose with us.
Thank you. Are you feeling positive? Because I see the world as a very light point right now. It can go either way because we are off balance. I see that as a good thing because I think if people listening to this, if we start to do some of Lynn McTaggart's work, if we all come together and have a focus of bringing light, going back to who we truly are, we can shift this in a positive direction. Are you feeling positive?
I think there's a tremendous opportunity in front of us. I think there will be a critical mass who will take that opportunity, and then that will nucleate, as they say, and become a powerful movement. We have to make sure that there is at least a critical mass that can work together, that can create the intention, the direction, give the direction. Consciousness is a predominant characteristic of this whole universe. Enter into that consciousness. Whatever we do is part of that consciousness. We live in what I call an akashic field. We live in an interconnected memory field universe. Whatever we do takes place in it, enters into it. So it enters into us as well. That's the great challenge, the great task, to inform us so we can inform the world. That's a little bit of a paraphrase of Gandhi's saying about being the change. We have to inform ourselves to become more rational, more sane, more healthy beings, more coherent beings. Then I think we inform our world around us, and that's the chance that will become an epidemic, a resonant and coherent epidemic.
Woohoo! And that means, Irvin, that each one of us matters. Each one is an important either domino or node in a matrix, but each one of us, for the whole to get into coherence, we each have a mission at this time, don't we?
We are each of us is part of the whole, and we each influence the whole. We each are a critical element in the whole. So yes, we are not on the sidelines. We are not just mechanical toys. We are people, we are beings with our consciousness who can orient ourselves so as to become more coherent, so as to become part of the source, evolve with the source. I think that's our task, that's our opportunity, that's our chance.
Thank you, which means that if we go from kind of a Greek hero or the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell hero's journey, it needs an upgrade right now, doesn't it?
It's not an individual journey. It's a collective journey. The hero is one who influences other people by being something, by becoming something. Then it allows other people, helps other people to become that. And then together we can all become a hero by following something that is penetrating from other people, penetrating us. All great art is not manipulative, not things that the artist makes us do. The artist feels something, that artist develops, becomes the work of art, and then he can share it. That's just the way it happens in the world too.
What are the three bangs behind us, and what does it mean to guide to the fourth Big Bang?
Well, there have been several global changes, and there's been some philosophers of science who just use it metaphorically, said these are something like Big Bangs. Of course, the development of the universe, the birth of the universe was the original Big Bang. But since then, the emergence of life in the universe, that it's here and most likely wherever there are suitable conditions, life is emerging. That also represents a kind of a total change. No longer just chemical reactions, but something living, something purposive, something conscious coming into the world. But really, I want to say the third, next Big Bang, or perhaps the second Big Bang, however we want to categorize this, is the emergence of consciousness. So we can steer our way, we can recognize who we are and what the world is. So these are tremendous changes. Emergence of civilization, yes. And now I think we are on the threshold of another major change. We have to find a way in which we can live together, in which we become coherent and super coherent. We can do it, but then it will be a way, way higher, way above what we have created so far. This crisis that we live through is our chance, is the option. So let's take it.
Woohoo! And you may have just done it, Irvin, but any last words of wisdom you want to share with people today?
Be the change, be the transformation, because we live in a quantum universe where everything is intimately connected with everything else. Whatever you become helps me become. So let's become something better. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where can people go to find your beautiful book, Reconnecting to the Source, and find out more?
Well, I mean, it's wherever books are sold. All the bookstores should have it. One can certainly order it. It's available online. There's also an audio book, which is now coming online as well, so you can listen to it. I have ervilaslo.com. I also have the LasloInstitute.com, which is an institute for researching the new way, the new paradigm. And we all look forward, we all welcome people who participate actively in whatever way they can or want to create a new way of thinking, which I call in the scientific terms, the new paradigm. But it is a way of thinking and feeling that we need in this world.
Thank you. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get reconnecting to the source, and be the change you want to see in the world today. And shine bright. Woohoo! Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. It was tremendous to talk with you.
It so goes both ways. I love what you're doing. I love the horse race that you're on. I share this race with you. So let me know if there's ever anything I can do to help, because we are all in this together.
You are doing it. Just keep doing it. That's the wonderful thing.
If you like this video, then you're a light worker, you're a light warrior, and we need your love and light. We need to crank it up to the max. That's why we're offering boot camps. You can check them out down below. Monday through Friday events, 1 hour a day, almost free, to help you crank your light up to the max, get you in the most positive place possible, boost your immune system to the max, and help you to help the world to shine bright. We're also offering YouTube live events every Saturday and Sunday during this time to help you overcome fear, overcome worry, overcome stress, and again, boost up your immune system. These tapping events, these boot camps, all involve group meditations where we come together, set group intention, help you help yourself, help your family, and help the entire world. You're a light worker. Your time is now. So come join us. Click below for these extra special events. I just had the most beautiful conscious-filled, in alignment, in coherence, reconnecting to the source interview with Ervin Laszlo. To check out more coherence-filled interviews, click here, subscribe below, give us 2 thumbs up if you love this, leave your comments below, and of course, join us for our YouTube lives and our boot camps. Love you guys so much. You can click the link below to subscribe and to check out our boot camps. Shine bright.
I hope you and your family are all well. I'm honored to have an opportunity to give a presentation for the second time at this Global Sustainable Fashion Week. I want to thank Abby and her team for not letting current circumstances stop you and move the conference online. Imagine how today's technology plays an important role and enable us to attend this conference wherever we live. I want to keep my positivity and see the benefits with having this conference online, which are reduced ecological footprint. I believe revolutionary technology will also play a vital role in a greener future in different sectors like energy, innovation, and manufacturing. I've had the privilege to speak with entrepreneurs that are, for example, developing renewable energy plants or a new way to grow leather. And you can barely think about all the possibilities and opportunities we have in the future with green technology. Hi, my name is Heiðrún Ósk, and I'm an entrepreneur from Iceland. I own 2 companies, both established with the same purpose: to reduce the waste in the world. I established Rebutia in 2019. At Rebutia, we are a team of 4 people developing an artificial intelligent stylist. Many professionals and people with children want to dress well and have money to do so, but have little time. E-commerce for clothes is increasing, but the clothes are being returned because they do not fit well or are not suitable. So we are developing an AI stylist that chooses clothes according to body structure and will save you time, money, increase self-confidence, and reduce carbon footprint with lower return rates. This is a free service built to identify what type of clothes really suits each person based on body structure, color scheme, hobbies, and occupation, and other factors that may impact personal clothing style. Imagine there is a 40% return rate on clothes in the USA alone, with a high impact on the environment. So with our service, we want to drastically change that. I established Dimplau in 2013, where I offer lifestyle products for clean, conscious living and inspire others to become conscious consumers. I carefully choose fair trade and sustainable brands to collaborate with, and I promote them through Dimplau. Most of my focus and energy has gone into leading Rebutia for the last couple of years. I've started to use Dimplau as a platform to get messages across to the masses on sustainability and how it impacts everyday lives and the environment. I also share posts on sustainable brands that I know might have a hard time in the next coming weeks. Many of you, like me, won't have money to spend, but if you do, I'll be sharing sustainable brands in my future posts. Today we are facing challenging circumstances where we need to adapt quickly. We have to change the way we do things, and instead of returning to business as usual as soon as possible, we should challenge ourselves to reduce our consumption and adapt to a more sustainable lifestyle for the future. Out of crisis comes creativity, and our well-being depends not on being consumers, but on being part of a community and helping each other. I became inspired to become a conscious consumer in 2013, when I realized how mass consumption has a drastic effect on the environment. I started to minimize waste, whether in my business or daily life. I wrote newsletters about my sustainable actions and ups and downs. And as a result, my inbox became crammed with positive feedback from my subscribers. And I discovered my newsletters were genuinely helping people to start their sustainable path. Every day I think about my impact and how I can reduce it. So I'm going to take you through a tour of my home to show you what I'm actually doing. I don't shop clothes very often, but when I do, I often shop secondhand. And I have actually found some of my favorite items in the Red Cross stores. For example, here are two of my coats that I've used very frequently. And when I shop new products, I choose something sustainable. And I recently bought this one. This coat, I must have a thing for coats. This one is made in Tencel, and I bought this one through Rebutia's platform, and it fits perfectly. I'm sure I'm going to use it very frequently. We had to cut down some very beautiful trees in the garden, and unfortunately, and I decided to restore it and move it into the house. And these are often used as seeds. It makes a very beautiful decoration in here, I think. I reuse jars, which are perfect as glasses. And I also like to make juice. Juicing is supposed to be healthy for you, but I choose organic fruits so they don't include pesticides. Skål! I started the plastic-free carpets and I managed to continue that for a couple of months, but I just wasn't getting used to it. And not to mention, the garbage can outside was all in mess and I had to clean it more frequently. So I just decided to use maize bags. They are compostable. And it's a better alternative than the plastic bags. I use bags that I can reuse and wash. I'm starting a collaboration with this brand, Better Packaging, that creates sustainable packaging for e-commerce and retail. But I think this one is also pretty nice for the home and to restore things that I keep in the fridge. And also for the kids to bring with them to the school. I make homemade soap, and I use the leftover soap and mix it with coconut oil that I use also for cooking. It's organic and I love to use it. And I use essential oils and I'm in collaboration with Pangea, and it's an organic skincare brand. And they are making really nice essential oils. I compost, and we have a composter in the garden. Composting is rich in nutrients and it's perfect for the garden. These are just few examples of the things I have adapted to my lifestyle. I decided to start a campaign to help people kickstart their sustainable lifestyle with 6 easy to follow step-by-step guidelines. People around the world are well aware of environmental challenges, but the connection between such challenges and their lifestyle is not clear to them. I created a report to help them translate challenges into actions and have a vision for their sustainable lifestyle. Not to say that I'm doing it perfectly. We don't need few people doing it perfectly. We need a lot of people doing it imperfectly. You can think about it like school grades. You don't fail out because you got less than 100%. The fact that you care at all, that's the kind of energy we need more of in the world. It's all about starting and taking baby steps. It's also about being kind to yourself and having reasonable expectations. I'm happy to be able to contribute and be a part of this society, where we, you and I, have the opportunity to make an impact and build a better and more sustainable future together. Here's a premiere of my campaign that I'm starting in April. Most people are overwhelmed trying to find out how to adapt to sustainable living because too many things are harmful. Hi, I'm Heronosk, and 6 years ago I was no different. I was trying to implement a strategy to live a sustainable lifestyle, but it became relentless. I felt like giving up and tried to convince myself that my positive actions had such a small impact that it would not make a difference. Trying to avoid food packed in plastic, finding organic fruits or fruits that don't absorb pesticides, or choosing pasteurized eggs. I was trying not to think about it while I made the decision. Everything I learned made me frustrated. So I started from scratch. I studied articles, journals, and even learned how things were done in the past. What happened in the last decade that has brought us to the situation we are in today, where we follow current trends often at a low price point. Before fast fashion came along, My mom had kept her favorite dresses for years, and they were passed on to me. And they had a purpose. Things have definitely changed. We hear news about climate change. The evidence shows that global temperatures are rising at a level which isn't sustainable for the environment to be able to survive. Most of what I didn't last until I found a system to get me fast on track on sustainable living, and it wasn't even hard to implement. I found a powerful system that had been used for other purposes, and I decided to apply it to help change my lifestyle. I started to feel better. I had more energy, and the guilt and its sidekick, stress, soon reduced. I took out all the best things from my system and what I had mastered, and decided to help others get on track with their sustainable lifestyle. With 6 powerful actions you can implement to your life immediately wherever you live. Click the link below this video to download your free report and get fast on track with living a sustainable lifestyle.
Hi, my name is Ninette. I live in Antwerp and I'm the founder and the creative director of Beauty Without Irony, which is a creative platform for social change, and also of its first project, Designers Against AIDS, that people mostly know of the collaboration we did with H&M for 5 years called Fashion Against AIDS, for which we had celebrities participating such as Katy Perry, Rihanna, Pharrell Williams, Yoko Ono, and a lot of others. The reason we are making this video is because I want to announce a change that we made recently. We used to have an education center here in Antwerp where we trained young people in how to use pop culture and social media to inform people about social issues. We did this for quite a long time, but we could only host 4 students at a time for 3 months, plus some interns and local students from Antwerp, and that was not enough. I felt it would be more efficient if we would take the whole platform online and invite young people and not so young people from all over the world to give their input on social issues such as HIV and AIDS, such as sustainability, peace building, equality, LGBTQ issues, all kinds of issues that certainly need a bit of input and help, and that could make the world a much better place if they were solved or at least adapted a bit so they become bearable for most of us. The reason that we use pop culture is obvious. Pop culture is attractive. It's like I always say, a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. And also using the internet in the right way. It's fast, it's democratic, it's cheap to do, and it's accessible to a lot of people. So it makes sense to make a platform that also can include young people from Indonesia, from India, from Africa, from all over the world. And not only can they give their creative input on social issues, but they can also learn about these issues, what they can do themselves in their own community, in their country, or on a global level together. So it will be awareness and education all in one point. So at the moment we have a very interesting competition going on Artstrat with our Designers Against AIDS project, where we do exactly that. We invite young people, art students and young graduates to give their input and to make some content for our social media. This can be a story, this can be a video, an interactive game, a questionnaire, whatever they come up with. which is nice for our social media because we have new and fresh content, but it's also interesting because it makes the students think about their attitude towards their own sex life. So it's double win. Let's see how this works out. I hope that a lot of students will take part. They can win nice prizes, which is a bonus. And when this goes right, we want to take this project more broadly, also about other issues and also with the help of companies. Because we think people who work at big companies and brands, and especially in fashion and other creative industries, they also want to make the world a little bit a better place if only they know how. And I think channel the energy of all the young creatives, their customers, or maybe their future customers, or maybe their future employees, channel that energy towards good. So I think to back projects such as these makes sense for a company as well, because usually our projects, they get a lot of media attention. Also because we use celebrities to promote them, but not only that, but they are fun to watch and they are fun to engage with. Our call out is to brands, not only from the fashion industry, but all other creative industries, to take part, to support such campaigns, and also to use the results of the creativity of these young people in their own campaigns, which makes it very contemporary and very interesting for young people to watch and maybe to buy products that are aligned with the campaign at hand. I think pop culture is such a wonderful way to communicate, and social media as well. They always say social media is a waste of time and it's this and that, but it depends on how you use it. The way we use it is to group young people together in social activism and to take it global. So not only are we helping our own country, but maybe also people in other countries. And I think that's very, very important because I don't think it's much use to sit at your own room complaining about how bad the world is. It's just as easy to do something. And if it's something fun to do, and if it's something that a lot of other people will like, then why not? We're all in this together.
Hello everyone. I'm glad to be here to attend 5th Global Sustainable Fashion Week. My name is Yuan Guoxiang. I'm from Donghua University from Shanghai. So the topic of my presentation today is about sustainable fashion design in China. I also include a case study of design by using laser engraving technology, which is one of my research areas, to explain the design, how to make sustainable designs in China as examples. The outline of my presentation today will divide it into 4 parts. I will introduce the background and explain some experimental work by using the laser technology. And then I will introduce design method and some applications by using this technique. Finally is the conclusion. First is the background. So nowadays, each people focus on their healthy problem and the environmental problem. So we care about the material we used, the design process, and some dye stuff we used in the making and production of textiles and clothing. And for most of us, we select or we wear the garment made by using the synthetic materials, but during the process of making the textiles, such as dyeing, printing, and some finishing process, we use lots of waters and some chemicals, which can cause a pollution problem. So that's a big problem for most of us. And for example, in denim industry, traditionally it's polluted industries in fashion and textile areas because during the production of denim and the finishing process we use much chemicals, some waters, some dyed stuffs, which cause some problem for the environment as well as for the workers. So based on the general background, and nowadays we focus on the sustainable design. And for sustainable fashion design, it has different values, such as for the environment, based on the culture, and for our society, as well as for the economy. So nowadays in China, as well as in other countries or places, some designers and fashion brands applied and different techniques and some design process and think about some new ways to promote fashions by using different sustainable ways, which makes a product sustainable. I just explain some of the cases in China. The first one is Icicle. Icicle is a fashion brand based in Shanghai. It's focused on the men's and women's wear as well as some accessories. This brand uses some natural fibers or natural dyes to make the product for women and for men. It's focused on the design materials they used to make the elegant appearance of the modern fashion styles. So the comfort is the basic and most important factors which the brand Icicle focused on. So the brand want to produce the garment for women and men, which can make some comfortable feelings without much healthy problem. This is some of the Icicle's new products, the coat and some clothing for men and women. You can see it's used some natural colors from wool, from some cellulosic fibers. Let's look at a video. It's Icicle. So Icicle in each season, the Icicle applied some natural elements in the designs. The raw materials in Africa or in other countries or regions. So the brand is find some natural materials for the collections. So as well as Icicle just established a new flagship outside China in Paris. So this is interiors designs and the shop inside. We can see the feelings of the shop, the colors they use, the materials they use is the white and the pearl wood colors. So all the materials they use is organic materials, which is similar to the product they made. Another brand I want to explain is the Reclothing Bank. This is a brand established in Beijing, so it's focused on the sustainability across the supply chain. So the reclothing means here the remake and the redesign of second-hand clothes. So it uses some clothes or reused materials or clothing to make new designs. So this brand not only uses sustainable natural materials such as cotton, like linen, and wool material, but also they reuse some unwanted material from different peoples and then turn them into the workable works of art. So the brand also cooperates with the American Public Service Organization, Percent Plan for the Planet, which is environmental protection program in China. So they donate some monies for the environmental healthy protection. This is some of their product by reused materials. So we can see from the garment shows here. There's different materials from shirt, from pants, from dress, and redesign and combine them together to make the new images of the garment for the fashion shows. So you can see some different like cottons, denim, other materials, they combine them together just based on the fashion trend, colors. Some places, some areas here with denim fabric, but they use different colors. So the reclothing bag also collaborates with Nike to launch the Recreate Old Jersey program. The third brand I want to share with you is White Closet. The White Closet brand was launched in 2015. Its focus on the targets the female users aged from 22 to 35 and to rent clothes online. And this is one of choice that in China many people nowadays use a rent service to rent clothes. They don't want to buy or waste lots of garments. So it's another choice for them with reasonable prices. This platform claims it provides more than 1 million clothes items and can cover 500 brands from the entry-level garment to the high street brand, as well as some designer brand. This is the inside of the White Closet employee checks clothing garment from the company's cleaning and storage center in a city in China. So we can rent the garment online using your cell phone. You can select and then the garments will be shipped to your home and you can choose your garment and you wear that and you just put the garment on your at the entrance of your home and you just they will some service people will get garments shipped back to the company. This is a introduction of the brand. So this is a way to introduce the laundry process of the white closet. So the white closet executive said that his clothing sharing business will become common on e-commerce platform in the future due to the low membership, thresholds, and variety of style on offer. It also cooperates with Alibaba and other e-commerce platforms, which has the largest online outlet for clothing sales in China nowadays. So based on the problem we have in the environment for the environment problem, a laser fitting process for textiles on the garment treatment was explored. So I will introduce the experiment which I used to make the fashion design. I use laser because laser have different advantages, such as the physical contact with high degree of automations. We can change and make the designs precisely and very fast. And also I can design the patterns to the computer with some graphic softwares, enlarge and change the size. And also we can repeat the design or the laser treatment very quickly. So based on these advantages in my research in these presentations, I will introduce the laser engraving to make use laser to make embellishment on the textiles and all the garments. So the laser can be divided into two design methods. The first one is laser cutting, as shows on the left areas. This picture shows that laser cutting results based on different parameters. So if I use laser engraving, the laser engraving can make some surface treatment, which means the laser beam just evaporates some and melted some fibers or dye stuff on the textile that shows on the right side here. So we can see the different colors from gray, light gray to dark gray, which was affected by using different laser parameters. So nowadays, laser was applied in denim industries to make some surface treatment instead of the bleaching or other design process. So after the laser engraving, the color fitting problem as appearance or some other wool appearance can be achieved. Let's look at laser engraving. Laser engraving different from laser cutting, which means use laser beam to scan the surface of textile, not cut through fabric. So the laser machine I used is the carbon dioxide laser, which I change the parameter like speed or resolution as a parameters to achieve different appearance. This picture shows parameters I used, such as resolutions here and some engraving speed with two major impact for the laser engraving. Another factor we should consider is the material properties, such as cotton, linen, wool, and polyester. Different material we should make many testings. General process for laser engraving is that first we need to create the graphics or patterns using the graphic software. Then we convert the patterns into grayscales. And then we send the designs into the laser machines here, where you can set the parameters after we do the testing. Then we put the garment into the cabinet and just to confirm the locations. Then after we confirm the locations and the parameter we use, we can conduct laser engraving. That's the pants after laser treatment. I show you the video. Okay, then we see the it's very fast to make surface treatment by using laser. So the fabric I used for the experiments, I use the polyester, wool and polyester blended fabric, and real and polyester blend to explain the examples. This is the 3 different kind of materials after laser treatment. We can see different material has different colors and surface appearance after laser treatment. Some material like the polyester after surface treatment, the areas was broken. And other two materials is remains the original effect, the property of the fabric, but the color was changed. So after we make the treatment or experiment, we need to do some testing about the materials for their physical properties and mechanical properties, such as we test the fabric weight, thickness, surface observations, thermal conductivities, air permeabilities, color appearance, and electronic conductivity. For the mechanical property, we test tear strength, tensile shear, bending, compression, friction, and surface roughness. This is pictures I shows here. It's surface observations of polyester fabrics after laser treatment. We can see from with the increasement of the laser parameters treatment on surface, some small particles was melted, which means polyester fiber were melted, and we can see the underground, the warp and the weft structure of the fabric. This picture shows wool and polyester blended fabrics. We can see after laser treatment, some fiber was melted. The wool fiber was melted and changed color to yellow, and some polyester were melted, which we can see the results here. So another fabric is polyester and the rayon. After laser treatment, with the increasements of the parameter, we can see the polyester was melted, and there's small bubbles was achieved in the inside of the rayon fibers because laser beam the high temperature. So the design method and the applications, I explain 2 ways to make that. The first one is the graphic design method, which means I use computer and graphic software to design, edit, and process images. And then we just use the process I introduced before to make the patterns on the garment like that. So, such as for the wool and polyester blend fabric, after laser treatment, color will be changed to yellow. And for the rayon and polyester blend, the laser treatment on the gray colors fabrics, the color will be changed to light gray. This is picture shows some of my designs. So this design use different design method, but use the computer graphic software to make the abstract and very delicate lines and some patterns to make the surface designs on the cap. Here shows the method. On the left side, the picture shows knitted patterns. You can see there, but they originally fabric is a woven fabric. Then I use a camera to take photos of knitted fabric. The textures, I mimic the textures, knitting the fabric. I also use graphic software to make the design on the pattern. So this picture also use graphic software to make the wave patterns, which use laser to change the parameters and make the surface treatment and designs on the polyester fabric. This has the same method to make that. This is on the polyester and rayon blended fabric. The picture is a two-dimensional two-piece, and I sew together and use laser to cut the different areas, like the sleeve, this is the back side of the garment. You can see there's some abstracts, some small dots, and the color changed, which I changed the parameter of the laser to make that. This is another design. It can be worn by the human, by the peoples, to show one three-dimensional effect, but also it can be hung on the wall. And you can see some delicate patterns here, some light blues, which were made based on the DLI series Phoenix. It's another design, the inspiration from traditional Phoenix pattern. Another method is resisted design method. You can, after I made the garment, I twist the garment with crippling method, make spiral or flower patterns on the garment, and then use laser to treat the surface. After that, you can have some three-dimensional effect like tie-dye. This is for the polyester, this is for the wool and polyester blended garment. Use laser to treat. Another method is pleating. I pleat the garment like that and use laser to treat. And then you can make some different shades changing effect. This is the same way to make designs. This is tying, just the garment like tie-dye. You tie the garments, you thread, you select the parameter where you want to use, and use laser to engrave surface. Then make the surface effect like the tie-dye, but there's no chemical use, no water, only use laser. This is another design details. You can see from the sleeves, from left pictures, the sleeves and another front and back side of the garment. I tie the sleeves and here I use laser to make that. For this, the right side, the sleeves, and the left side for the garment, I use traditional tie-dye method to make the patterns, and then use camera to capture the patterns and use lasers system to transfer the pattern onto the garment. So there's two ways to make that. This is for the wool polyester blend fabric. This is the polyester fabric. so be made by using tying process using laser. And here are some ways to mimic the knitting patterns, like that. On the left side, the knitting patterns transferred onto the fabric, and also as well as some other patterns can be transferred on the garment. Also made some research and designs by using laser with such as aluminum foil coating, and then use laser to engrave some surface to make the pattern like that. As well as I combine with printing. I print some different pigment like blue and red and black on the textiles. Then use the aluminum foil laminating method to coat it on the surface. Then use laser to engrave to make some patterns. And also combine laser with weaving process, because it's very difficult to achieve different colors by using laser. So such as I combine with multi-layer fabric. The ground fabric is the cotton fabric, and surface fabric here is polyester. So after laser engraving, the surface has some patterns, but it's not strong enough. Some areas will be broken, which is the result I want to achieve. But the ground areas is the cotton areas, cotton material, which is strong enough. Another design I shows here. And also I combine the laser with mud dye process. So the silk first was dyed by use the mud with some natural materials. Then I use laser to engrave surface, like the fingers on the left side. You have some different color change to light red colors. And also use the laser can be make some small dots on the garment. Here's the garment I make. So the pattern is very delicate. It's not easy to find the patterns and recognize patterns. But when you get closer to the garment, you can find different delicate patterns there. Another is use laser to make different colors, which I with the fabric, the warp, and the weft here are different colors. Then use laser to treat the surface. After treatment from the warp and the weft side, we can see different colors. Also use laser to make some textile designs for on the composite materials. You can see the designs. Here show some details. So by use the laser treat the surface, you can see different effects like the snow. The other piece I made use laser. So on the non-woven materials. This is Dogot, another design which was exhibited in Spain many years ago. This is one of my solo exhibition in 2016. I exhibit all of my design, garments and some textiles in Hong Kong. You can see some like the dress, some coat, some pants. There was different. You can see the patterns on different parts on the whole garment. So this inspiration is from the traditional Chinese ways of painting, like the hills and the waterfalls. So I just apply the element to make the patterns, and then use these patterns in the design. Here's another fashion show attend in Philippines, which I showed some of my designs by using the laser, which is sustainable technique. So the conclusion is that all the results was design shows laser engraving can be applied in textile surface embellishment and some surface treatment. So this the design approach. This design approach can be developed, which integrated different release method and computer-aided pattern. Because I have applied laser to make designs and research over 10 years. So I have tried to use different methods and explore different ways to make sustainable designs. The second is that this design process indicates that it's an alternative to improve the textile, or we can call it fashion, by using laser. So this technique during the process of manufacture and design, there's no water, no dye stuff, and no chemical used, which is the sustainable ways of doing fashion, making design. Here shows some of my selected solo exhibitions, some invited exhibitions I attend. So thank you very much for listening to my presentations, and hope you enjoy that.
Сама иду по коню, коня я ду, конь он топчаю. Коня я ду, конь он топчаю.
Soy Brenda Andersen y junto a Constanza Darderes somos fundadoras y directoras de Copoliche Ropa con otra oportunidad Argentina. Nuestro aporte al ecosistema de la moda sostenible es reutilizar. En 2013 hicimos una experiencia de viaje de 6 meses por Centroamérica con muy poca ropa, solo una mochila liviana con lo necesario. La felicidad de vivir con poco que experimentamos fue tan positiva que quisimos seguir viviéndola a nuestro regreso. Esto es lo que impulsó nuestro negocio. Hace 7 años, cuando creamos Copoliche, queríamos hacer de la venta de ropa usada algo de calidad. Lograr que las personas que no consumían habitualmente ropa usada comenzaran a hacerlo. ofreciéndoles ropa bien seleccionada. En ese sentido, Cocoliche es un concepto innovador con relación a la venta de la ropa de segunda mano, porque todas las prendas se encuentran en muy buen estado y son de las últimas temporadas. Creamos un modelo donde todos ganan. Por un lado, el proveedor de la ropa, al poder generar un ingreso, y por el otro, el comprador, que tiene acceso a prendas de mayor calidad a un precio accesible. Además, este sistema reintroduce las prendas al mercado, evitando que se tiren a la basura, y genera puestos de trabajo decentes e inclusivos. En este sentido, contribuimos con prácticas de moda circular en un sector de la sociedad que tradicionalmente consumía a partir del modelo lineal, comprar, usar, desechar, por otro que incorpora el hábito de reutilizar. ¿Cómo funciona? Las personas traen su ropa en desuso y estas prendas son seleccionadas en el momento por un equipo especializado. De las ventas de las prendas, los dueños reciben un porcentaje que se puede usar en ropa de la tienda o retirar en efectivo. Los precios los establecemos en función del precio de mercado, fijándose en 1/3 de este. Para esto hacemos una investigación cada 6 meses y confeccionamos planillas con 3 categorías de gamas de prendas, en función de la marca y el tipo de prenda. Dentro de cada categoría ubicamos precios mínimos, frecuentes y máximos. De esta manera, los seleccionadores de ropa que fijan precio en el momento pueden hacerlo de forma justa. Un servicio que ofrecemos para los proveedores de ropa es el seguimiento de las ventas online. Esto lo vuelve un sistema transparente e inmediato. A través de un usuario y contraseña, pueden acceder y consultar el crédito que tienen disponible, el detalle de prendas y los cobros que fueron realizando. Además, en la cuenta online les informamos, a modo de indicador ambiental, la huella de carbono. El objetivo es que los clientes conozcan cuánto ayudaron a reducir el impacto ambiental por las prendas que se evitaron fabricar al poner a la venta su ropa en desuso y extenderles la vida útil.
Para crecer fue clave tener la capacidad de gestionar volúmenes. Para esto diseñamos y desarrollamos un software a medida que permite manejar tanto grandes cantidades de prendas como de proveedores, a la vez que brinda una plataforma para que los vendedores conozcan sus ventas y el beneficio que generan en el planeta. Este software, junto con una comunicación clara con los clientes, nos permitió tener un sistema transparente que genera un sentido de pertenencia, reforzando el concepto de comunidad y de estilo de vida. El concepto Ropa con otra oportunidad que venimos desarrollando hace 7 años tuvo por objetivo poner a la ropa como protagonista, impulsar una actitud creativa y participativa en nuestros clientes para encontrar su estilo, con combinaciones de prendas de una manera novedosa, sabiendo que nuestros hábitos hoy repercuten en las generaciones futuras. Esto hace que las personas que visten las prendas de Cocoliche las lleven con satisfacción y orgullo. Hacemos moda utilizando la diversidad de prendas que aparecen en nuestras tiendas, tan heterogénea como son las personas, a través de producciones fotográficas, editoriales y videos que representan nuestra identidad. El impacto positivo que genera comprar y vender en Cocoliche se basa principalmente en que se generan hábitos de consumo responsable, porque ofrecemos una propuesta atractiva para la reutilización de prendas en cuanto a precio y calidad. Esto hace que los clientes regresen semanalmente buscando oportunidades. Traer prendas en desuso a Cocoliche se transformó en un estilo de vida en la comunidad. Cada proveedor trajo ropa 3 veces en el último año y en total más de 20.000 personas ya trajeron su ropa para vender. Somos parte de la plataforma de emprendedores sostenibles Iberoamérica y desde allí estamos mostrando nuestro aporte en la localización de los ODS junto a Smartly. Para nosotras es muy motivador trabajar en un emprendimiento que tiene un impacto positivo en el planeta y en la sociedad, y eso nos inspira a mejorar y a aprender continuamente. Muchísimas gracias.
I'm Anna.
And I'm Ran, and we are the founders of Wilding Shoes.
Wilding Shoes were born from the wish to create the best shoe for kids. A shoe that keeps their feet healthy and strong, lets them move freely and naturally, and looks good at the same time.
Our kids were born in Israel and they grew up barefoot most of the time.
2 years ago, we moved back to Germany, and our kids needed shoes for the first time when winter came. They tried on dozens of shoes, but refused to wear any. Conventional shoes have very obvious flaws once you start looking for them. They're usually quite heavy, they have bulky heels and clumsy inflexible soles. They also sacrifice a healthy shape to a slim and pointy look.
Necessity is the mother of all inventions, and for us the necessity was to find a shoe that will allow them to keep moving as barefoot. And we didn't find anything, so we had to invent one.
It took us 1.5 years to develop, but we created a shoe that is truly different. Our shoes are built on a last that has an anatomical shape. It gives enough space for the toes and still sits snugly for a comfortable fit. Wilding shoes offer no shock absorption and also no footbed, so that the feet can do their job and get stronger every day. Our shoes are very lightweight and super flexible. We also developed an innovative sole that flexes and bends with the foot. Sustainability and a fair production are topics that are very dear to us. We source all the materials for the shoe by ourselves so that we know where they are coming from. And we source them locally in Germany and the surrounding European countries. The shoes themselves are manufactured in Portugal under fair conditions and in an old family-run business that has a long tradition in shoemaking. Our goal is to get Wilding shoes out there to the kids who would love to wear them. With this shoe, your child can go everywhere and do anything. It can truly run wild. Und dann haben wir uns eben angeschaut, so, dass es jetzt nicht nur ein Problem ist, was wir haben, sondern ein Problem, was wirklich die westliche Gesellschaft im Prinzip durchzieht, dass fast alle Kinder mit gesunden Füßen geboren werden, aber irgendwie 1/5 der Erwachsenen hinterher noch gesunde Füße haben. Und dann haben wir gesagt, okay, dann ist da einfach mit diesem Produkt, was so wie es gemacht wird, nicht in Ordnung und wir wollen das ändern und wir versuchen jetzt mal einen Schuh zu machen.
Als Quereinsteigerin suchte sie nach Mitstreitern, die sich damit auskennen und gleichzeitig offen für neue Ideen sind. Denn Wildling sollte schließlich die erste Marke sein, die Barfußschuhe für Kinder produziert. Viele Experten schüttelten hier nur ungläubig den Kopf.
Das ist so ein Geheimrezept in diesem Schuh, dass wir gesagt haben, 0 Kompromisse. Wir machen das so und wir haben von allen gehört, das geht so nicht, das könnt ihr nicht machen, das kann man so, man kann so keinen Schuh machen, auch von unseren Herstellern damals. Wir haben gesagt, wir müssen es aber so machen, sonst wird es eben kein anderes Produkt.
Im Kölner Atelier von Wildling wird schnell die Liebe zum Detail deutlich. Die Schuhe machen ein gutes Gefühl, sehen aber so gar nicht nach Gesundheitsschuhen aus. Auch hier macht Anna-Jona mit ihrem Team keine Kompromisse.
Wenn jemand unsere Schuhe überhaupt nicht kennt, dann würde ich ihm erklären, das ist der Schuh, wo so wenig Schuh dran ist wie möglich. Also ein Schuh, mit dem man quasi immer und überall wie barfuß laufen kann. Wenn ich die mal nur quasi die Sohle allein in die Hand nehme, habe ich hier eine Sohle, die ich komplett in alle Richtungen drehen kann. Also sie ist wirklich so weich und flexibel, dass damit jede Bewegung einfach möglich gemacht wird. Und ich kann den Boden spüren durch diesen Schuh. Und ich habe einfach viel Platz vorne für die Zehen. Das ist ganz, ganz wichtig, damit der Fuß sich gesund entwickeln kann, ne, und wirklich kräftig wird.
Das alles hat seinen Preis. Kinderschuhe beginnen bei 70 €, Schuhe für Erwachsene liegen zwischen 100 und 170 €. Produziert wird bei meist familiengeführten Firmen in Portugal. Auch hier steht die Nachhaltigkeit ganz oben auf der Vorgabenliste. Der Erfolg gibt Anna-Jona recht.
Wir hatten eigentlich geplant, 200 Paar im Monat zu verkaufen. Das war unser großes Ziel im Businessplan, im ersten Businessplan. Und haben dann aber im ersten Jahr schon 7.000 Paar verkauft. Und aus den 7.000 wurden dann irgendwie 21.000 und dann 80.000 im nächsten Jahr. Und jetzt sind wir dabei, das nochmal auf einem guten Niveau mindestens zu verdoppeln und erwarten das auch fürs nächste Jahr.
100 Leute arbeiten inzwischen für Wildling, viele von zu Hause aus und mit viel Freiraum. Die Gegenleistung ist eine hohe Motivation, nicht nur beim Team, sondern auch bei der Gründerin.
Ich habe meinen absoluten Traumjob gefunden, also durch einen totalen Zufall, und bin einfach total begeistert von den Möglichkeiten, so abwechslungsreich arbeiten zu können, mit so vielen Menschen in Kontakt zu kommen, so viele spannende Beziehungen aufbauen und pflegen zu können und auch Aufgaben zu haben, an denen man einfach jeden Tag wächst.
Eine Sohle, die als unverkaufbar galt, der ausschließliche Direktvertrieb am Handel vorbei. Wildling war von Anfang an stur. Der beste Weg, sagt die Gründerin, um sich treu zu bleiben.
Hello, I'm Cornelia Gangur. I'm one of the founders of Finest Fashion Site, which is a site where we promote sustainable fashion through educational articles. And I'm also one of the founders of Sustainable Finest Fashion, which is zero waste upcycled clothing line made from secondhand fabrics. Today, I'm going to talk about, can fashion really be sustainable? To answer this question, we need to go over several topics, starting off with facts. While people bought 60% more garments in 2014 than in 2000, they only kept the clothes for half as long. Every second, the equivalent of one garbage truck of textiles is landfilled or burned. As well as being wasteful, the industry is polluting. Clothes release 500,000 tons of microfibers into the ocean every year, which is equivalent to more than 50 billion plastic bottles. Clothing is massively underutilized. Worldwide, clothing utilization has decreased by 36% compared to 15 years ago. In other words, customers miss out on 427 billion euros of value each year by throwing away clothes that they could continue to wear. Less than 1% of material used to produce clothing is recycled into new clothing. The economic value of these negative externalities is difficult to quantify, although it is estimated that the overall benefit to the world economy could be about 160 billion euro in 2030 if the fashion industry were to address the environmental and societal fallout of the current status quo. Furthermore, this disposed model has numerous negative environmental and societal impacts. The textiles industry relies mostly on non-renewable resources, including oil to produce synthetic fibers, fertilizers to grow cotton, and chemicals to produce dye and finished fibers and textiles. As an example, 20% of industrial water pollution globally is attributable to the dyeing and treatment of textiles. For instance, total greenhouse gas emissions from textiles production at 1.2 billion tons annually are more than those of all international flights and maritime shipping combined. According to the United Nations climate change, the emissions as well as consumption made by textile and apparel production will rise to more than 60% by 2030. Should growth continue as expected, total clothing sales would reach 160 million tons in 2050, which is more than 3 times today's amount. If nothing changes by 2050, the fashion industry will use up a quarter of the world's carbon budget. Under a business as usual scenario, the growth in material volume of textiles would see an increasing amount of non-renewable inputs up to 300 million tons per year by 2050. On current trend, the amount of plastic microfibers entering the ocean between 2015 and 2050 could accumulate to an excess of 22 million tons, about 2/3 of the plastic-based fibers currently used to produce garments annually. Because of all these issues in the fashion industry, in early 1990s, there came a wave of sustainable fashion. But what is it exactly? By Cambridge Dictionary, fashion is a style that is popular at a particular time, especially in clothes. Sustainability as a word means being able to continue over a period of time. In that sense, these two definitions can't go hand in hand. But we started to talk about sustainable fashion not as a trend or a way of fashion, but as a movement. Sustainable fashion is a movement and process of fostering change to fashion products and the fashion system towards greater ecological integrity and social justice. Sustainable fashion concerns more than addressing fashion textiles or products. It comprises addressing the whole system of fashion. This means dealing with interdependent social, cultural, ecological, and financial systems. It also means considering fashion from the perspective of many stakeholders, users and producers, all living species, contemporary and future dwellers on Earth. Sustainable fashion therefore belongs to and is the responsibility of citizens, public sector and private sector. So what we can say is that fashion itself cannot be 100% sustainable, but we can radically decrease the impact it's having. As we are talking about three sectors of responsibility, one of the main sectors is consumers, citizens. Our behavior is far more selfish than we might like to believe. Rational models of consumption are based on the idea that individuals make choices that balance costs and benefits. An ethical consumer will make rational judgments about purchases on the best outcome in terms of costs and benefits for them and the environment. Consumption, and in particular fashion consumption, is quite irrational. Purchase decisions are more likely to be driven by desires linked to pleasure and excitement. Fashion is a social activity for setting our status, but it is also an activity that is driven by emotional desires such as the fantasy, excitement, and aspirations of living a better, more fulfilling life. Another aspect of consumption is the psychological need for hyper-buying clothes to fulfill a person's self-image. When people buy branded clothes and they get this external validation and credibility, but concerning sustainable fashion, the effect is not as big, even though it might make the consumer feel a bit better that they bought from an eco-certified brand. On the other hand, there is a study that proved that people who buy conventional clothes versus sustainable actually feel as bad about their consumption. To conclude, the only way to feel good about consumption is not to consume at all. Internal validation is not enough to convert people to buying sustainable fashion. We need to think of new ways to popularize zero consumption, or at least buying less and consciously. In that part, I would like to bring out the example of good sustainable branding. Reet Aus, Estonian sustainable fashion designer, made a brand called Upshirt. All the shirts are made in ethical factories with the UpMade system. The system allows to turn excess materials into garments, which present savings in water, CO2 and energy usage. The shirts are well known in Estonia, and especially because of the upwards arrow on the shirt. Seeing someone on the street with a shirt gives you a hint of the person, or at least the image they are trying to represent. Even if the consumers have the need to buy more sustainably, we can't forget the company's responsibility. According to the 2018 Pulse of the Fashion Industry report, brands are making changes towards sustainability. It revealed that 70% of fashion companies have improved their environmental and social performance over the past year. The 2019 Pulse score shows that the fashion industry has improved its social and environmental performance in the past year, but at a slower rate than the previous year. With the demand for greener goods comes the demand for greater transparency. Transparency requires that companies know who makes their clothes, from who stitched them right through to who dyed the fabric and who farmed the cotton and under what condition. Crucially, it requires brands to share this information publicly. Still, a lot of brands are saying, while there isn't demand, then I'm not going to implement changes, whereas we have to implement changes to increase the demand. In short, to be considered genuinely sustainable, brands may need to entirely transform every aspect of their businesses. The Leadership Forum Global Fashion Agenda has set out 8 crucial sustainability priorities, which include complete transparency throughout the supply chain, safeguarding workers' rights, becoming more energy efficient, and reusing textiles. Cherry-picking 1 or 2 issues will not suffice. As I brought out several times, to make a change, we need all three parts involved. Public part as legislations play a big part on sustainable development. As we've seen, a lot of agreements and pacts have been signed, but what are the results? One of the most discussed agreements is the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement called for a balance of climate finance between adaptation and mitigation, and specifically underscoring the need to increase adaptation support for parties most vulnerable to the effects of climate change. The Paris Agreement is a pact within the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change between 197 countries that focuses widely on reducing greenhouse gas emissions, adapting to the impacts of climate change, and to provide financial assistance to developing countries affected by a changing climate. Paris Agreement stated on fashion that fashion industry needs to embrace a deeper, more systemic change and scale low-carbon solutions. The industry charter specifies the following overarching areas of work to be further developed by specific working groups, which are raw material, manufacturing, logistics, etc. The Fashion Industry Charter for Climate Action goes beyond previous industry-wide commitments. It includes a target of 30% emission reduction by 2030 and a commitment to analyze and set a decarbonization pathway for the fashion industry, drawing on methodologies from the Science Based Targets initiative. This target, which is one of many goals enshrined in the Charter, is a clear demonstration that the fashion industry is serious about urgently acting on climate change and is keen to set an example to other sectors around the level of commitment required to meet the scale of the climate challenge. The G7 Fashion Pact aims for representation of at least 20% of the global fashion industry as measured by volume of products. The goal would be to have a mix of luxury, mid-level and affordable brands across the fashion sector. The new targets will build on the existing initiatives such as Apparel Impact Institute, Ellen MacArthur Foundation, etc. The aim is to ensure that new actions will fill the gaps across fashion supply chain. Global commitments are a response to the priorities set by global community. They include commitments in three main areas pointed out by the One Planet Lab, as well as actions that are not mandatory but serve as examples of potential initiatives to reach the commitments. Concrete joint initiatives are specific areas of work that require collaboration across brands and all stakeholders of the fashion industry. Accelerators are actions that cut across the commitments and that create the enabling environment to achieve the targets. These may also be areas for collaboration within fashion as well as across sectors and that demonstrate leadership and innovation by the fashion industry. Note these, that the Fashion Pact is based on the collective ambition of CEOs to commit to sustainability targets that are needed to bend the curve on climate. The document is not legally binding and can be set as a set of guidelines. All these pacts are really great, but fashion is at the crossroads where one direction leads to a rapid scale-up of implementation that will turn fashion into a real climate leader. The other direction leads to more commitments, but without real implementation. This would ultimately be a large-scale greenwash. While the pacts are focused on tomorrow via its non-obligatory targets, we need action today and reduce the risk of greenwashing. One way of nudging brands to invest in sustainable supply chain is first public financing of upfront costs for things like shifting agricultural practices. In turn, brands might commit to buying materials from farms making changes. Also, we need really radical marketing and very, very good branding. To have a more sustainable future, we need to look at different levels. national level, by having those pacts and organizations created, like mentioned earlier. Domestic level, making sure we know how to recycle textile waste, buy things that help us reduce the amounts of microplastics flowing into the wastewater. Enterprise level, like getting certifications, educating customers, thinking of the impacts during design phase, etc. Individual level, question your choices, or at least educate and forward information on your own social media channels about fabric choices, life cycle impacts, washing, recycling, promote second-hand, use the same clothes many times. And the future would be a new textiles economy which is based on circular economy principles. In such a new textiles economy, clothes, fabric and fibers are kept at their highest value during use and re-enter the economy after use, never ending up as a waste. This will provide a growing world population with access to high quality, affordable and individualized clothing while regenerating natural capital, designing out pollution and using renewable resources and energy. Such a system would be distributive by design, meaning value is circulated among enterprises of all sizes in the industry, so that all parts of the value chain can pay workers well and provide them with good working conditions. A new textiles economy relies on four ambitions. Firstly, phase out substances of concern and microfiber release. Secondly, increase clothing utilization. Then radically improve recycling and make effective use of resources and move to renewable inputs. We have to realize these ambitions will not happen overnight. While there are some immediate profit opportunities for individual businesses, collaborative efforts across the value chain, involving private and public sector actors are required to truly transform the way clothes are designed, produced, sold, used, collected, and reprocessed. However, this should not discourage or delay action. The time to act is now, and the ambitions below offer an attractive target state for the industry to align on and innovate towards. We developed a site called Finest Fashion Site. It is a site where we promote sustainable fashion. Shortly, I will introduce what we're working on. We developed a site called Finest Fashion Site. It is a site where we promote sustainable fashion brands. We saw a big problem that brands don't have enough visibility amongst the consumers, so we wanted to help brands out. Also, we saw that we need to educate customers more on sustainability. At the time, we are developing it into something bigger, but as the details are still not so clear, I wouldn't get too deep into it. Other company we are working on is sustainable clothing line called Sustainable Finest Fashion. As streetwear is trending, we wanted to make streetwear more sustainable. Our clothes are zero waste and upcycled. To sum it all up, fashion itself cannot be 100% sustainable, but we can radically decrease the impact it's having. The fantastic thing is that although we are all part of the problem, we can also all be the solution to this problem. Thank you for listening.
Zero barra Cento produces made in Italy gender neutral zero waste outerwear lines while envisioning outerwear as a service. Usually around 15% of textiles go wasted in the production process of fashion clothes, while we produce zero waste outerwear lines which are made to last. Our mission is to offer trustable and design-driven sustainable outerwear lines, both for sales and rent, while optimizing the textile and fashion industries. Our zero-waste gender-fluid outerwear helps final consumers who want to rent or buy design-driven sustainable pieces by offering a perfect mix of style, quality. Zero-waste pattern making is one of the two pillars of the brand, together with the traceable, responsible sourcing. totally made in Italy. We create an holistic approach that includes environmental, social, and economical responsibility. Thank you.
Then again, first of all, congratulations for your inspiring and fantastic collection. Could you describe us in a few words? What fabric did you use? What colors? What patterns could we see?
Okay, so basically my collection consists of 3 components. I work with the recycled kimono, Japanese 100% silk kimono, vintage. The second component is the fair trade wedding dresses, where I collaborate with an Australian designer in Cambodia who has a fair sew workshop. And the third component is more artistic, where I do everything as the artisan, and I make the fabric or make the flowers, and I dye it with natural dyes. One of the wedding dresses, the last one, was strawberries. I dyed with fresh strawberries to give it that soft colour. So everything's natural. The silk's chemical free, and so that it takes the natural dyes better. And basically hand skill techniques, felting and making the tulips with the felt is all handmade, yes.
Yes. Since when do you work with sustainable fabrics?
Okay, I have been a pioneer. I have been making clothes since '97. I attended the first Mercedes Fashion Week in Sydney with my recycled denim collection. And then I've evolved more from casual lifestyle to more couture, where I utilize my own, skills, talents.
And how hard it is to connect sustainability to fashion?
Okay, so basically I've always thought sustainability because I've been brought up recycling from a very early age. So when I think in design, I create with that idea that minimal waste, my impact on the environment as a designer, how can I eliminate a lot of the process. And I've been more innovative with my patterns, where I create zero waste, so I don't cut into the fabric. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your answers and good luck for the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ditta Felt started with creating felted garments. Later, the brand's assortment was completed by other unique handcrafted rich textiles. The collections place the principle of sustainability into the center of focus and follow personal intuitions. The pieces are largely focused on textiles. I use traditional handcrafted textiles based on natural resources. These are outfits inspired by ancient forms and methods, garments that are telling stories. Used techniques are hand felting, eco-print, natural dye. Materials, natural fabrics. The pure forms aim to emphasize the richness of the textiles. The chosen inspiration was the world and atmosphere of a Hungarian movie, Tamara. The movie is also about how an artist can see the countryside and nature. Garden outside and inside. Organical orderliness. Earth colors. Combining traditional and modern techniques, during the design process I built upon these keywords. Organic, clear-cut, herbal, puritanical, minimalistic. Organic, clear-cut, herbal, decorative, sophisticated. Simplified, plentiful, natural. The structural elements are visible in the setting of the film. I followed that in the designing of the felt clothes as well. I used the kimono form here. As for the materials, they are premium textiles which are dyed with plants or using the eco-print technique. I create basic felted pieces, like hand-felted blazers. I use unique techniques. I like creating basic forms for the upper garments, creating blouse collections. I use the technique eco-print. As for the details, you can find vintage buttons here. These are also unique pieces. The brand's goals: value preservation, transplanting tradition into the modern world while minimizing environmental impact. Felting is an ancient technique. Nomad folks used it 8,000 years ago, but it answers the challenges of the 21st century just as well. Also, dyeing with plants has been used since more 1,000 years. Wearable, durable, somewhat rebellious, feminine clothes and accessories. Luxury materials, wool, silk, GOTS certified textiles, sustainable design, mini collections, functionality and comfort. It is said about my work in an online magazine. Her clothes reveal her sensitivity to the world and her love towards nature. Design is so. Thank you.
Hello, greeting from Denmark. My name is Esima Shantomobil. I am originally from Ivory Coast and I am the owner of Nordic Afro Design. The concept of my business and my design is give back principle. That means to Mother Earth. That's why we interpreted Scandinavian raw and African colorful material together. The clothes is unique, ethnical, and quality, not quantity. And I try to minimize the mass production from a part. This is why Nordic Afro Design is one of the few concepts where we are mix eco, substantial, ethnical, all together in one piece. Which why I am so happy to be one part of it. Nordic Afro Design has 3 UN World Goal, and that is number 8, number 11, and number 12. Nordic Afro Design is very new. I opened my store and my concept 1 year ago, but I have the idea a long time. So the process was very careful. That's why I opened last year. I am so a little bit sad that I could not be there to share my ideas and my design. So you can see in the background, that one is a bamboo with African fabric, and the same with that is bamboos in the bottom and African fabric in the top. And like you can see, I do everything with the cork and mix with African ethnical fabric together. And that reflects my life, my personality, and me. That's why I try to mix all this material together to show that we can do something very good and something very beautiful where there are different culture mixed together. So I hope I gave you a little bit insight of what I'm doing in Denmark, and I hope next year, or maybe like you can see here is my cork product I have in the store. And here I have a Pinatex where I'm designing a bag. And of course, I'm trying to mix all the good material together to show that all material can mix together, and in the same time we can be very kind to the Mother Earth, very kind to what we're doing, because we have to have the earth long time to our children and our children's children. So I'm trying to do my part. I'm trying to be careful what I'm using, and I'm trying to be aware of what is important. So I hope I gave you all a little bit info what I'm doing in Denmark, and a little bit about me. So see you soon, and be safe out there. Thank you for your time. Bye.
In the sustainable fashion, the heritage is a very important factor. So I would like to think that most of our designers are concentrating on the heritage and also in the new solution and also in the very, very innovative solutions. So I would like to introduce to you also our staff, because in Hungary we have not only very good designers. During the Global Sustainable Fashion Week we introduced more than 45 designers, not only Hungarian but from all over the world, other designers, and we think that the volunteer staff had a very important role, because the young generation would like to join to this movement, sustainable fashion, fashion revolution, and I would like to thank you for this contribution, because without you we could not be very successful. And I think that in the Visegrad countries we could be also an example that in Hungary we would like to work together for a better sustainable fashion world, and we invite also the Visegrad countries to join us.
And we fostered a really false narrative in terms of disposal of that clothing, what happens to it at the end of its life. We fool ourselves that donating to a charity shop resolves our conscience and resolves the problems, but in actual fact, and probably, hopefully, benefits the less fortunate. But the reality is, nobody wants our cheap clothing that we give away once we've discarded it. They don't. Only 10 to 30% of clothing donations to Goodwill and other charity shops are resold. The rest are again incinerated, sent to landfill, or shipped off to other developing countries. And with China and Africa closing many of those borders and import regulations on second-hand clothing and other discarded consumerables, now many of the Western countries are really struggling with what are they going to do with all this waste that previously they've just been able to ship away and not worry about. And it's a massive problem. Most of us live in very small countries that don't have the ability to continue burying, landfill of particularly consumables that are in fact recyclable, like textiles. So, it was just revealed just at the end of last year that H&M is sitting on $4.3 billion worth of unsold stock. And, it's okay because they're going to incinerate it and do energy capture, so they say. The Burberry has destroyed 90 million British pounds worth of unsold stock in the last 5 years, just in the name of brand equity. To ensure a false sense of scarcity, to ensure optimized price points. So we really have to, and this is business as normal, I'm not picking on two particular people, they're just emblematic of how the mainstream fashion industry works, and why it's so important for us to instigate change and to be part of that change.
Fashion industry impacts us all, every single one of us, by the simple fact that we all wear clothes. And the fashion industry links to so many other industries, from agriculture to chemicals, transport and tourism, and the creative industries such as advertising, music, and film.
The fashion industry has an often underestimated impact on the development of our planet. It's closely linked to gender, labour and poverty issues, and it has a considerable environmental impact.
Fashion Revolution is the world's largest movement working towards a fair, clean, safe, and more transparent industry. Working with thousands of people across the world, Fashion Revolution believes that greater transparency and awareness will lead to the changes we so drastically need to see.
We really believe that giving greater visibility to the people within the fashion industry, giving them a face and giving them a voice will help to start to change the fashion industry.
The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity. In order to achieve these global goals, we need to rethink current models of textile and garment production, the use of resources and materials in the fashion industry, and change the culture and economy of fashion globally.
As individuals, we have incredible power. We have purchasing influence over the designers and the brands that we buy our clothes with, and then we also are obviously very important from a political perspective.
This free online course is an opportunity to explore the intersection of fashion and the Sustainable Development Goals and what that means for you and the future of us all. Throughout this course, we will gain an understanding of the current state of the fashion industry, as well as exploring strategies and tools that we can all use to create positive change and support a more sustainable future.
I think most of all, it's about being curious and finding what works for you. Because if you love fashion, if you truly enjoy wearing clothes, then you should commit to the clothes that you're wearing in an emotional way. And as Joan Crawford said, care for your clothes like the good friends they are. They are good friends.
It's not just the environmental topic involved in sustainability, but also the social responsibility. What was the reaction after Rana Plaza collapsed? Questions raised, questions of social responsibility, questions of safe working conditions, and questions of a more transparent industry. I'm going to get back to the more transparent industry part soon. Fast fashion companies, why is it not transparent, this fashion industry? Why does Fashion Revolution want a more transparent fashion industry? It's because we today, the industry as a whole, the global industry can regard it more to be like an informal garment industry. What do I mean by being informal? It means that we cannot really trace the way of a garment from being born until it gets to our garderobe. We don't really know where it originates from. We have no information about where the materials come from. We have no information about how it was shipped to our store. We have no information about what was the cost, the real cost of having that garment produced. We have no information at all about a garment which is very intimate. I believe that fashion is a very intimate moment of our lives, because that's a thing we put on our skin, that's a thing we put between the world and us. And we don't ask questions about it. It's nonsense. We ask questions about our food, we ask questions about the education. We have to ask questions about our clothing, because it's a part of who we are, and it's a part of representing ourselves in the world, and it has also a connection with our body.
what does it mean that the global fashion industry is not transparent? Out of 100 brands, which was researched by Fashion Revolution, 50 brands do not reach the 50% transparency. Not a single brand is scoring about 50% in transparency. These are the 100 biggest global fashion brands, which are most of them based on fast fashion production. Out of 100, 3 brands were scored 0, which means they are disclosing no information at all about their production or about their suppliers. There was an average of 20% out of 100. Only 8 brands scored higher than 40%, and as I mentioned, not a single brand is scoring about 50%. Practically, what does it mean? I like to say the example of Inditex because that's the biggest fast fashion production garment company in the world now with the most profit. It means that, for example, if we check Inditex's website as a consumer, I'm just only interested, I can reach the information about last year's profits, I can reach the information about what they are planning until 2020, I can reach information about what they are planning on sustainability or social responsibility, but how do I know if it's correct? I mean, that's only a PDF document. It's not a reliable source. And here again, the historian part of me, I always need a certain source. How do I, as a consumer, okay, I'm the consumer who is not an industry professional, how does he or she can check if those information are right?
A mi cégcsoportunk, a legdinamikusabb cégcsoport Budapesten, nagyon büszkék vagyunk a múltunkra.
Büszkék vagyunk a kollégáinkra, büszkék vagyunk a közös sikereinkre.
It is a time for transition, a time where it's necessary to have a transition. From where to where? From where is becoming quite clear. We have created a world that is not sustainable, that does not give the opportunity, the chance for 7 billion people, not only to live on this planet, but to thrive, to live well. Financially not possible, ecologically not possible, and politically there is no will as yet to change this situation. So we are transiting from an unsustainable world to a world that has to be sustainable. If it isn't, then this will be the end of the human adventure on the planet. But we have the means to make it a sustainable world, a world for 7 billion or more people, for living well together. Because we have everything. We have the energy. We have the finances. We are wasting 90% of the money on this earth for speculative endeavors, only using at the most 10%. Some people only say 3.5%. We have the energy. We are basing in solar energy on this planet. We need to use it much more than when we do. We have the skills. We know what is needed. So we have to transit into the world that is suitable for 7 billion or more people to live well together. That means together. That means with each other. We have to create a world together. That is the key element of it. And I think we can do it. The time has come to do it, and I think we will do it.